Hey Faithful, welcome to You've Got Mail presented by Delta Dental. I'm your 49ers team reporter, Briana Jeannel. Today's episode features a very special guest, 49ers tight end Jake Tonges. In this episode, Jake and I talk about what it's like growing up in the Bay and how he hit the scene with his amazing touchdown reception during Week 1 in Seattle. In this episode, we also talk about what it's like inside the 49ers locker room, his relationship with Nick Bosa, George Kittle, and really what it's like playing for the 49ers as a Bay Area native. We also answer some fan-submitted questions, so if you'd like your question featured in a future episode, be sure to follow the 49ers on social media to submit. Now, here is 49ers tight end Jake Tonges. Jake, how are you? I'm sure you've gotten a ton of attention after that awesome touchdown catch in Seattle.
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's been awesome. Heard from a lot of family and friends and stuff, and I'm looking forward to this week.
Awesome. Well, you grew up in Los Gatos, right next to Levi Stadium, a Bay Area native. I'm also from the Bay. I grew up in the peninsula right under San Francisco. Can you describe what it's like to grow up in the Bay and really what your hometown was like?
It was an awesome experience. Went to Los Gatos High School, went to elementary school, middle school in Los Gatos. It was awesome, it was such a classic high school experience. They really care about the football team over there, so it was a good experience there. And I've been very fortunate to, do pretty much every year of my life, besides, a little hiatus in Chicago, my rookie year, in the Bay Area. So it's been awesome.
Knowing your background, I'm sure you come from a football family. I did also. Pop Warner was like my childhood. My brother played for the Redwood City 49ers. I cheered for that team. Were you involved in Pop Warner? Did you maybe get with the Los Gatos Longhorns at all?
No, so I don't even know if they existed at that point. I played for the West Valley Falcons.
I remember that name.
Yeah. So I started in sixth grade with the West Valley Falcons. Yeah.
What were Pop Warner days like for you? Is that where you got, the base of the football knowledge?
Yeah, it was good. I was begging my mom to play. She didn't necessarily want me to play at the time. She thought sixth grade was a little early. But one of my best friend's dads was coaching the team, and I was actually playing older lighter, which means I had to lose some weight to play and make weight and play in the games. It turned out to be like a little more weight than my mom was expecting. So, I would be in the sauna and, trying to drop weight before the game and then have to refuel up, eat a PB&J and a Gatorade and, get out there. So it was a great experience. I'm very thankful for it. And it definitely is where my, passion and stuff for football started. So,
yeah, no, I remember those days. My brother would run around the track in a trash bag to sweat it all out.
Yeah, it's craziness. It's craziness.
Crazy for those kids. Well, now I also know you were a Bengals fan as a kid.
Yes,
so
I was.
How did that happen? Did you ever find your way at any Niners games in your childhood?
I didn't get to any Niners games. I was a Bengals fan because I was born in Cincinnati, and we actually moved out to Los Gatos when I was about 5 or 6 years old. So that's why I was a Bengals fan. I think I also, just liked to root for the Bengals because it was, it was different from everyone around me and stuff like that. But, I've kind of decided recently, I've spent enough time in the Bay Area. I've played for the Niners for 3 years. It's probably time to start being a, Bay Area sports fan. So, that's kind of where that all originated from.
Yeah, I love it. Now, reflecting on where you've come from, what's it like now to, put on the red and gold and represent the Bay?
It's definitely been awesome, and there's definitely an added level of, pressure and wanting to do well just because I know all my friends are going to be watching and I want to put on a good, show and play well for all the people who are supporting me, in the Bay Area. So.
I love it. Now, your high school coach, Mark Crail, he said that he played your Week 1 touchdown during a Los Gatos high school film session. Have you heard about that? And what does it mean to know that your high school team celebrated your big moment like that?
It's awesome. I'm glad they showed that. I know my college coach actually texted me as well and said they showed it in their meeting. So, I'm fired up. I hope it can maybe, inspire some guys to, really just stick with it. And, I was a walk-on and I was undrafted, so just try and take advantage of your opportunities. And, it definitely makes me, smile a little bit that they're showing that to their current players, to their younger players. So.
Yeah. Your high school coach also shared that you wanted to play quarterback when you started. Then you played on defense and then found your way to tight end. How do all those position changes shape the player you are today?
Yeah, I think it's just having, being versatile and developing different skills, at each position. Playing quarterback, you have a lot of, it's a lot of hand-eye and stuff like that. Playing defense, you kind of learn to be physical, and it kind of all came together. I was definitely upset my sophomore year when I got benched, playing quarterback, and they said, hey, how about you play some defense, you play some tight end? But I think it ended up being the right fit. So.
Absolutely. I mean, look at you now.
Yep.
All right. So tell me about that recruitment process. You walked on at Cal before earning a scholarship. What was that journey like?
So I didn't really start playing tight end until like my senior year. So, and most of the recruiting happens, or I was playing tight end, but I wasn't starting until my senior year. And most of the recruiting happens in your junior year. So it was kind of light, and I was going to camps. I was going to, some Ivy League camps, and I had an offer from Columbia and a scholarship to Sacramento State, but I really just wanted to play like Power 5, the highest level of football, while also, trying to go to the best school that I could, because, I didn't know how it would work out. Right. So that's kind of how I ended up at Cal. And that's what the recruiting process was like for me.
Yeah. So. Well, that's the position a lot of Bay Area athletes find themselves in. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them about staying patient and motivated throughout that process?
Yeah, I think you just got to try and, find, provide value where like you can, at the time. There might be a senior who's there, or, a guy who's a year above you who's there, who's going to be, a second round pick, or a guy who's already got a scholarship to college. So you just kind of got to wait for your opportunity and try and provide value where you can, whether it's, for me, it was like my special teams coach, Charlie Regal, put me on special teams. And that was really my first time getting on the field, and kind of where I gained trust and showed I could, be out there and do things correctly and have an impact. So yeah, I would say just kind of taking your opportunities wherever you can get it.
Yeah, well, Cal football is where a lot of Bay Area football fans could get their college football fix.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite moments over at Cal?
I think probably there's probably two. We went down to Ole Miss and played down there, and we won. And that was the game where I had my first touchdown and kind of started, actually playing on offense for the first time. And then we actually had a bowl game, the Red Box Bowl, here at Levi's. And that was kind of my only bowl win in college, and I had some nice plays in that game. And it's funny that it was at Levi's. So
yeah, pretty cool. It's funny to reflect on that. How you started here, and it seems like everything is telling you to stay right here in the Bay.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Now, I'm going to give you a couple of prompts. We're going to do a segment called If You Know, You Know, Bay Area Edition. Right. Let me know if you resonate with any of them, or if you happen to have any stories on any of these prompts. Are you ready?
Yep.
Awesome. So the high school tradition of hitting in and out after a Friday night football game. I don't think Los Gatos has any in and outs, but did you have any post Friday night light traditions?
Yeah, so the in and outs were kind of far away. I'm sure we would go if they were in town, but really the only place open after games was Jack in the Box, and that had a drive through, so we would definitely go, hit Jack in the Box after the game, hit the value meal, get some tacos, get some chicken sandwiches, like stuff like that. So
I was just about to ask you, what's your post high school football meal from Jack in the Box?
Oh gosh, probably like a buttermilk ranch sandwich and milkshake and some curly fries. Probably.
Solid.
Yeah, not too crazy.
All right, if you know, you know. Even if you're not a rap fan, knowing a Mac Dre, Too Short, or E40 song by heart, does any of that resonate with you?
I mean, at Cal they played a lot of E40, like a lot of at the games and stuff. So I don't personally listen to those guys too much. They're a little older, but I've definitely heard a lot of it being at Cal.
Yeah, when I was in high school, it was like Sage the Gemini, SOBRBE.
SOBRBE was huge when I was in high school. And I think I saw him perform at Snow Globe one year, which is a festival in Tahoe. So
yeah. Hip hop is a huge part of Bay Area culture, which I'm sure you know. Now, if you know, you know, Bay Area edition, spending the 4th of July up at Lake Tahoe. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, growing up, we had some family friends who had a house up there, but I try and get up to Tahoe as much as I can. But it's just beautiful. I think it's one of the greatest places that America has to offer is Lake Tahoe. It's just beautiful, crystal water, and mountains and stuff. So I've gone skiing up there. I've gone up there for the 4th of July many times, more times than I can count. So Tahoe is one of my favorite places.
What's better, Tahoe in the winter or the summer?
Summer, for sure.
Yeah?
For sure, Tahoe in the summer, yeah.
I love it.
Getting out on the lake is, you can't beat that. So
You can't. It doesn't feel real when you go to Tahoe.
yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Now, if you know, Bay Area edition, earthquake drills at school.
Yes.
Did you ever remember that?
Yeah, we did some earthquake drills. I don't remember when my last one was. It was probably in middle school, earthquake drill. But yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, funny things we got to go through.
Yeah.
Living up as a big
Cal's
kid.
football field is actually on a fault line.
Really?
Yeah. So there was, I think it's the Hayward fault, but there was a class that a bunch of guys took called earthquakes, and that was one of the big, teaching points was that like the football stadium is, kind of on a fault line.
Interesting. Well, the more you know.
Right.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about your NFL journey. What was that moment like when you signed with the Bears as an undrafted free agent and made that 53-man roster?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. I was excited to go try out a new part of the country because I had been, in Northern California for so long. But yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty. I wasn't really sure how it was going to work out. Like many undrafted rookies, like I wasn't getting, a ton of reps in practice. I was playing some positions, I was playing a lot of fullback, which I hadn't really played before, and I didn't understand why they wanted me there. But it ended up being the versatility ended up being the reason that they kept me on the initial 53-man roster. But I mean, I had a great experience in Chicago, and I loved the city and the coaches who were there, and some of the teammates who I met there, I'm still, are some of my best friends. So overall, it was a great experience.
And what was that transition like going from Chicago back to the Bay?
It was pretty easy coming back here because, I wasn't in a rush to find a place because I could, stay with my family for a little bit. And yeah, I mean, it was great being back near all my friends and stuff. So like kind of having that life outside of the facility and football is really nice, which, sometimes when you're going to a new place, the only people are in the facility and your teammates and stuff like that. So that was definitely a huge benefit. And, I'm very grateful for that.
Football's a small world. Like, I feel like once you know someone, you start to know who everyone is.
Yeah.
Do you have a best football friend that you've known maybe like since Pop Warner that you still keep up with to this day?
I mean, one of my... I don't want to pick anyone.
We don't have to crown anyone as the best
I don't want to crown it. I mean, so probably my first two friends who kind of made me want to play football because I knew they were playing that first year. They were on that initial West Valley Falcons team, and they're the big reason that I wanted to even start playing because I wanted to just hang out with them. And they were the reason that I went older, lighter, and had to lose all this weight because they were on that team. So. Yeah, probably those guys were my first, football friends, I guess you would say.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And then as you're playing in the NFL, do you run into anyone that you recognized from your hometown or maybe just growing up?
Being out here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll see some people around town who I'm like, oh, I went to high school with this person. And I do keep in touch with a lot of my, high school friends still. We did a big trip this summer together. So, but yeah, you always see people, walking around town. It's a very small town and everyone kind of knows everyone. So yeah, I see people around all the time.
Awesome. Let's talk about friendships inside this Niners locker room. What is this year's locker room like? Tell me about the personalities. I've seen that you bonded with Kyle Juszczyk, Nick Bosa, George Kittle, of course, the tight end group. So how have you built those relationships during your time here?
I would say a lot of golf in the off season. I think a lot of the guys on our team love the golf, and it's a great excuse to get out, and spend time together. So yeah, I mean, that's, I feel like that is honestly where I've built some of my strongest friendships on the team is like going to do stuff outside of the facility. And I feel like a lot of guys, for whatever reason, maybe it was Christian getting us, golf clubs 2 years ago. Guys were out golfing together, and I feel like it really has made us, a lot closer as a team.
All right, tell me now more about what it's like being a tight end. What's the hardest part about being a tight end that people really don't get to see?
The hardest part about being a tight end, I think it's just the amount of information that you need to know in the game plan and just in general, because, you're a part of the pass game, you're running routes. Sometimes you're in pass protection with the O line, and then you're obviously blocking in the running game for the running back. So there is a lot of information that you need to memorize and know, and especially sometimes we got 2 tight ends out there, 1 tight end. Sometimes we have 3 tight ends. So there's a lot of different spots that you need to know, and I kind of I take pride in trying to know all the spots. So if someone goes down, I can fill in.
Yeah, a tight end is such a special position because it's like every position wrapped up in one.
Right, for sure.
And I can't even imagine even in Kyle Shanahan's offense how much you need to know to play the game.
It's a lot. But, being here for 3 years, I obviously feel so much more comfortable now than I did, my first year. But yeah, definitely it is a lot, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
I love it. Now, we're going to dive into some fan questions. Our fans took to social media. They saw that you were on the podcast, and they had a few questions for you. A fan asks, what is your go-to song or artist that gets you in the zone prior to a game?
Go-to song or artist? I feel like I'm listening to... I kind of like to stay more so relaxed before the game. So, I will listen to, some classic rock, like some of the Grateful Dead stuff, because I'm... Until we right when we go out there, I'm trying to kind of stay, even keel a little bit. So.
Were you introduced to the Grateful Dead when you all went to that concert at the Dome?
Yeah, I didn't really know much about them, to be honest, and it was one of the better concerts I've ever been to. And then since then, I've just learned more and more about the group, and it's just a really cool. It's just a really cool thing, and people are extremely passionate about it, and it's just a great community. So
it looked insane on socials because it was at the Dome in Vegas, right?
It was at the Sphere. At the Sphere.
Oh, the Sphere.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm thinking the Dome because Super Dome. Yeah. But you went with Nick Bosa, George Kittle. How did that group all get together and find their way into Vegas?
I mean, Bosa kind of facilitated the whole thing. He knew someone who knew someone who, knew the Grateful Dead's or Dead and Company. Their security guy, and they wanted to just have some guys out, and it was awesome. Everyone said yes to going, and it was a really fun experience.
That's so cool. Do you have a favorite song from the Grateful Dead?
I like the first song that turned me on to the Grateful Dead was Althea. I feel like that's the most easily digestible, well-known one.
Okay.
But I like, Fire on the Mountain, Casey Jones, stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Next fan question says, must have snack when traveling on away games. I know it's typical to have Chick-fil-A on travel days, and then the team plane has every snack you could ever think of.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to snack on travel days?
I usually have a Diet Coke and some candy is what I go with. After I eat, they have some pretty good food actually on the plane, so I'll eat some real food, and then I'll just start going in on the soda and some of the sweets, the ice cream. So
more like chocolate or sour candy?
More like chocolate and stuff like that.
That's my type. Yep. Yeah. Favorite lunch spot at Los Gatos High School?
In downtown Los Gatos?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So my favorite lunch spot was Los Gatos Meats. It's a deli, and they make these huge, tri-tip sandwiches. That's probably the place I've gone to the most, and me and my high school friends, we'd frequent there a lot. So
what's your order on that? Was it
Los Gatos Meats?
But what was your sandwich order?
It's the superhero on Dutch Crunch with everything, and I think cheddar cheese on there. So
Dutch Crunch is an elite
sandwich
bread.
An elite bread. It's an elite bread.
All right, now favorite player of all time.
Favorite player of all time. I think growing up it was Rob Gronkowski. Just because I liked, I was playing tight end, he was playing tight end, and I just liked how free of a spirit he was, and he seemed to, not really care what people. He was kind of authentically himself and super funny and fun. So yeah, probably Rob Gronkowski, I would say.
Have you met him since?
I met him at Tight End U a couple years ago, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
What's he like? Off the screen, the faithful and the fans get to see what he's like on screen. But what's he like in real life?
Yeah, he was. He was really cool. At the time, he was actually moving really well. He was running some routes with us and stuff. And I'm like, this guy could still play. But yeah, he was just coaching us up and stuff, and he was a super nice guy. It was kind of a surreal experience for sure.
Awesome. Now, this last fan question says, what is the first thing you do in the morning? Do you happen to have a morning routine or something that happens right when you wake up?
Right when I wake up, I just go, I brush my teeth, maybe make my way on over here and just, instantly get in the hot tubs here. So probably getting the hot tub is my main morning regime. So
sounds like an awesome way to start the morning.
Yeah, not too bad.
Now, just to wrap it up, anything you'd like to share with the 49ers faithful before we get deeper into this 2025 season?
Just, appreciate all the support from everyone. We're going to need that support for the rest of the year, and, go Niners.
Awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Great having you on.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
All right, faithful, that was Jake Tonges on You've Got Mail presented by Delta Dental. Be sure to subscribe to the 49ers on YouTube and SiriusXM and your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to also turn on those post notifications so you know when the next episode drops. And if you want your question answered by a 49ers player, be sure to follow the 49ers on Instagram. That's where you can ask your question, and we'll be sure to look for them and answer them right here on this podcast. So as always, go Niners!